Yo, welcome back to my channel. Listen, as always, I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you're back. Listen, please be sure to like, subscribe, and a comment, and please be sure to hit that bell notification so that way you can be notified anytime I upload. As you guys know, over here, we're all about FTP, which is faith, transparency, and positivity. And on this Monday morning, as you can tell by the title, I wanted to come on here and talk to you today about low self-esteem. Let's get into it. As I am on this whole content creator journey or this whole YouTuber journey, I'm learning. I'm not the type of YouTuber or the type of, content creator that wants you to look at me as an expert. Like, this is how you should do this, and this is what you need to do. And I'm also not the content creator that wants to come on here and preach to you every time. But I want you to look at my content more like a conversation, more like a sit-down conversation between you and I. And today, as you could tell by the title, of course, I want to sit down today and talk to the people out there that are dealing with low self-esteem. I want to sit down in this video and have a conversation with you. In my opinion, you don't have to be a research expert to know low self-esteem. It comes from certain negative experiences that you have experienced. A lot of times, it happens in your childhood. And it is a certain negative belief about yourself. It is a certain negative overview and outlook that has been produced in your mind and in your heart of how you see yourself and what you believe about yourself. This is how I look at low self-esteem. And for the sake of this video, this is how I want you to look at low self-esteem. I look at low self-esteem as an agreement. It is an agreement that you have made with an experience that you have had. It is an agreement that you have made with something that was said. Low self-esteem is simply you believing that. And what is believing? Believing is agreeing. So in my opinion, low self-esteem is simply you agreeing with something that was said about you. It could be years ago. Somebody said you was ugly. Somebody said that you were unattractive. Somebody said that you were not talented. Somebody said that you were not smart. And with that low self-esteem, you are agreeing with whatever was said about you years ago. It could be an experience. It could be an experience that you've had where as a kid or on an old job and you have never ever been able to live your life in a different light. And so now you have lived your life agreeing with that situation. When I was in high school, I had horrible self-esteem. Like, I had horrible self-esteem. My self-esteem was so low. It was ridiculous. And I would never forget, there was this girl, junior year of high school, that I had really liked. And, she literally told me straight up, you ain't attractive, And she didn't tell me, but she told my friend, I won't date him because he's not attractive. Literally, she said that. And then years later, she wound up wanting to date me. But that's a whole nother video. And then senior year, there was this girl that I had really liked, and she told me she liked me, and whatever, and I kind of came on strong, and I found out in the end she let me on and all this stuff, and I wasn't able to recognize that, and I kind of held on because I thought that would be the only girl in life that would ever like me. But clearly,
Factor test determined that was a lie.
After those experiences in high school, there were years after that I went through life just thinking I was ugly. Like, I wrestled with that a lot, and thinking that I was ugly to the opposite sex and just in general. And I went through life agreeing with what was said, agreeing with the fact that the girl said I was unattractive, back in 11th grade, and agreeing, with that experience of the girl in senior year playing with me and leading me up, leading me on and all this stuff. I agreed with that. And it wasn't until years ago, I went to therapy, I went to counseling, I was in a situation, and I went to therapy, and as simple as it was, I don't know, and I do believe that our words have power, as the Bible said. I do believe that, but I don't know what it was. But I was in a therapy session, and I was talking to my therapist, and I was telling him, I was like, I feel like I'm ugly, and I feel like I'm not good enough, and I was just going in and going in and going in, and I was going through every scenario, everything that I have felt, and I was walking him through the different journeys that I have, of me being rejected here, there, and other. And I would never forget, my therapist looked at me with the most simple statement. And he said, there is nothing wrong with you. And I would never forget that session. Like, I cried. I'm in there because, I wasn't, I was telling him about things, the correlation between me not being raised by my mom, and then the correlation between that and dealing with certain women. And I was going through, and I was like, man, and he said, and I said, yeah, and I'm in there like, yeah, it is. I'm this and I'm that. And sometimes he said, there is nothing wrong with you. And he just walked me through that simple phrase, freed me that day. I remember just, reading over my therapy notes, and that week, and just, rehearsing what he was saying to me. And so he was trying to get me to change my mindset, because I had made an agreement with what was said back in 11th grade and what was done to me in 12th grade. I had made an agreement that, hey, I am not in the in crowd. I wasn't in the in crowd. I wasn't one of the popular kids, in high school. You know what I'm saying? And so I had made an agreement with the fact that I am ugly. I am this. And so it resulted in me having, experiencing having low self-esteem in certain situations. And I just remember that counseling session. He was like, this life is not high school. He was like, you are not in high school anymore. You don't have to play by those same rules. This is not high school anymore. And I just remember him, in that counseling session, just that first initial, just trying to get me to change my mind about how I saw myself. And that freed me tremendously. And as I sit here one-on-one talking to you, that's the same thing I'm saying to you. You have made an agreement. You are agreeing with something. You are agreeing with something that was said about you, something that was done to you, and it is time in 2022 to break that agreement. And the horrible thing about making agreements as such, the horrible thing about going through life, agreeing to something that was done to you and that was said is the fact that you don't get to have a say-so. So whatever somebody said, it now becomes your truth. And whatever somebody did, whatever experience, that now becomes your truth and your perceived reality. And I want to come on here today to let you know that in 2022, you need to break that agreement. You need to break that contract. As you hear me say in videos all the time, I'm a performer. I sing, I perform, and I play the piano and all that stuff. And sometimes I go out and do shows, and so we sign a contract. We sign a contract that upon these circumstances, you will perform for this amount of time. You would do this. And so it's an agreement. And that's how a lot of people who have low self-esteem is like signing an agreement. When somebody come online and say, hey, you ugly, or when you get rejected from a job, or, when somebody reject your romantic interest, you have made an agreement years ago to take it personal. I'm signing an agreement to anytime I experience rejection from a job, from a girl, I have made a lifelong agreement to take it personal, to down talk myself, to blame myself. I have made an agreement years ago that if that employer don't want me, I am going to internalize it, and I'm going to say, oh, it's because I'm this, or it's because of that, or it's because I'm ugly, or it's because I'm not smart, or it's because I'm not educated. And no, you going into this week and going into the rest of this year, I want you to break that agreement that you have with whatever happened to you. Stop agreeing with it. Stop agreeing with it. Talking about agreeing and talking about low self-esteem, you making an agreement, as I said before, it takes away your voice. It takes away your power, because all it is that you are listening and agreeing to something that was said, which means you're not talking. You're not talking. And as I say all the time, one of the best ways to improve your self-esteem is you have got to talk to yourself. You have first got to listen to you. As you heard me say that in another video, I was in the airport one day and anything happened. I was in the mirror and I was just, washing my hands, and I'm like, I am a handsome individual. And the reason why that is so important is because I said that to myself. I had to hear myself. It felt good to hear me say that to me. You have to say certain things to yourself, and you have to agree with it. That's why self-affirmations are so important. When you get up in the morning every day, and I said in another video, a lot of us, we get up in the mornings and we brush our teeth, we go to work, we go to the gym, and we say nothing, let alone pray. Let alone do we get up and pray, but we get up and say nothing to ourselves. So you got to get up in the morning and say, I am powerful. And then say, I agree. I am attractive. Now take a deep breath and say, I agree. I am not what happened to me. And then say, I agree. I am smart. I agree. I am overcoming whatever situation that I'm in now. And then you say to yourself, I agree. You first got to agree with yourself. You have got to agree with yourself. And in order to do that, you got to say something to yourself. You, for years, you have heard just other people, say things about you. And for years, you have heard whether good or bad. And for years, you have heard you only talk about yourself horribly. But I want you to start agreeing with yourself. In order to do that, you got to say something to yourself. I used to work a job, and I'll never forget one of my bosses used to say all the time, you got to fix a problem. If you see something, say something. And you got to use that method with yourself. If you see something, say something. If you feel like you're looking good, you got to say, hey, I look good today. If you do something well, you say, I actually did that well. And even if you didn't do it well, even if you don't feel nothing, you still got to speak to yourself. And also with agreeing with yourself, you have got to agree with others that validate you. Now, here is a trick with this. Agreeing with others that validate you, all of this means is you have got to get around people that you trust. You have got to create a tribe and an environment around people that you trust, that you know that they mean you good. And the reason why I say that is because you don't always want to have to rely on that external validation. So number one, you're agreeing with yourself because you're saying something. You're building your confidence. You're speaking to yourself. So when you get up in the morning, you're already saying, hey, I feel good about myself. I'm attractive. I agree. But number two, you want to agree with those people that's in your family and in your environment that mean you good. And here's the thing about only agreeing with people that validate you is that like I said, it can become tricky because you'll start to only look for that external validation. And don't get me wrong, like I hear people say like self-improve, get in the gym. If you want girls, get in the gym, get in the gym, get in the gym. And anybody that knows me, I am a strong gym advocate. I am a strong self-improvement advocate. I believe if that, hey, you want to look your best, you want to feel your best. But the thing about, telling things like that, you have got to work on yourself with the right agreement in mind. So if you are working on yourself with the mindset that, oh man, I'm fat, I'm terrible, I'm this, and I'm working to get. I mean, I'm working on myself. I'm in the gym. I'm working to get that external validation. Then you already lost. One of my favorite scriptures in the Bible, it says, bodily exercise profits little, but godliness profits all things. That is one of my favorite scriptures. And the reason why I love this scripture is because it says bodily exercises profits little, meaning that I love the fact that in the Bible it's just not neglected. Like, no, don't work out, don't do bodily exercise. But no, bodily exercise, it does profit. Improving yourself, I'm not the type of person that's going to tell you, don't go to the gym, don't do nothing, just sit up and just eat what you want and love yourself. No, it improves. Bodily exercise, it helps improve your health. I get up every day, like I said, at 6 a.m. I'm at the gym, getting it in. Sometimes after work, sometimes before work. I literally just did an Instacart meal prep order so I can start on my weekly meal prep and drink my smoothies and stuff like that. So it profits little, but the thing about it is that it profits little. Yeah, it might help you look good. It might help you get indoors. I mean, just being honest, you go to a job interview. Some people get the job just because they're fit or they look good. So, and overall, it helps your health. So it does profits little. But I love that next part where he says, but godliness profits all things. And so what that says to me for the sake of this video is that godliness, what is godliness? Godliness is a belief and a partaking in something that is higher than yourself. And so as we look over in Colossians, how do we do that? The Bible said, think on the things that are above. So while you are doing your improvements in bodily exercise, financial exercises, getting your money together, or whatever other kind of exercise that you could put in there, while you're doing that, you're not doing bodily exercises with the mindset down here like, I'm just only doing this because I ain't nothing. I'm only trying to get in the gym because I'm trying to get a girl to say I'm cute. I'm only trying to do this because I'm trying to get external validation. I'm only trying to know, but you're working and improving on yourself while your mindset is already where you are not yet. You see what I'm saying? I want you to do those necessary improvements, but don't do those necessary improvements with the mindset that I'm not nothing until I get this, and I'm not. No, you are valuable now. You are valuable now. And so going back to what my therapist said when he was like, there is nothing wrong with you. Of course, we got things that we don't like. Of course, you know, we all got that something that this and the other. But what that simply means is that there is nothing wrong with the decision of your existence. There is nothing wrong about God deciding that, hey, I am going to make somebody as you to exist. There is nothing wrong. There was no error. There was no mistake in that. Listen, there is nothing wrong with you existing. Dealing with low self-esteem, you have got to agree with those other people. You've got to agree with those other people that are in your circle. It's funny because this is my first pair of glasses. I just started wearing glasses, and so I've never worn glasses in my life. And I went to go pick up my aunt to take her to the grocery store. You know, she raised me, and, you know, my aunt raised me. That's my heart. And so I went to go pick her up from the grocery store, and this was her first time seeing me wear the glasses. And she was like, and she got in my car, and she was like, those look really nice on you. That made me feel so good. And I was like, and it literally made my whole day. I ain't even going to perk because my aunt validated me in that moment. And I agreed with her. Like, I agree. These glasses look nice on me. You know what I'm saying? Because I agreed with somebody that love me, somebody that I trust. And a lot of times when the reason why you don't only want to rely on external validation is because it can go either way. And what I mean by that, a lot of us, we agree with other people when they say, oh, you look nice, oh, you're talented, oh, you're smart. And you be like, yeah, I am. And then as soon as that person can say, nah, I changed my mind. You're not really smart. You're not really talented. And you're not really, you be like, yeah, you're right. I'm not. And see, and that's a problem. You see what I'm saying? Because a lot of us will, when somebody say good things about us, we'll agree. But then when they say bad things about us, we'll agree to that too. So it's best to have that balance of I'm not only relying solely on external validations. I am speaking to myself and agreeing with myself. So that agreement is in here. That agreement is not only external, but that agreement is in here. So whether you say good or bad, my agreement is already made inwardly. And number 3, you have got to agree with God. Listen, even over here, we believe in Jesus. I'm just gonna say it. Listen, you got to agree with God. You got to agree with there is something above that's greater than yourself. You got to agree with God. One of my favorite scriptures says, agree with God. And by agreeing with God, good things will come to you. Listen, you got to agree with God. How do you do that? You got to, read his word, read the Bible, and you don't want to look at it from oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this, I can't do that. You don't want to look at it from that mindset, but you want to get in the word and research scriptures that tell you how God loves you and agree with that. You want to research scriptures that tell you how God feels about you, and then you want to agree with that. You want to research scriptures that tells you about God's promises and how he promises to be with you and how he sees you, and you want to agree with that. So yeah, man. So yeah. This week, happy Monday. I want you to go into this Monday practicing good emotional health, good mental health. All my people out there, I hope this conversation helped. All the people that's dealing with low self-esteem this year, I want you to change that. I'll never forget Bishop Jake saying this during this quote during the sermon. It is my favorite. He said, when you find a thing that is stopping you, you don't make a deal with it. You kill it. Man, that's powerful. And that's all we'll be talking about today. When you find a thing that's producing that low self-esteem, that's feeding it, you don't make a deal with it. You kill it. What is the deal? An agreement. And that's how we do. Sometimes we could be like, I only think I'm handsome or I look good when I have a haircut. No, I'm only going to say I'm talented unless somebody else said, no, I'm going to make a deal. I'm going to love myself more when I get somebody that already loves me. No, I'm only going to love myself when I get into a relationship. And then I get in a relationship, then I'm going to start loving myself. No, you are making a deal with your trauma, with your low self-esteem, with those experiences. No, you got to cut that. You got to say, hey, with or without a haircut, with or without a boo, with or without anything, I am handsome, I am attractive, I am talented, I am good enough as I am right now. And as I am working to be better, I am making a new agreement. I am oh, I am a good person. You gotta do that. You gotta do that. And the second quote about low self-esteem that I heard, it was a video that I saw on YouTube years ago. It was a TED talk, and this person said, the greatest thing about a self-esteem is that you get to build it. I love that. So I want you to take that away today. The greatest thing about self-esteem is that you get to build it. Other people can help you, and let them. The people in your circle, the people that you trust, people that you love, and the people that don't know you, that validate you. That's nice too. But you get to build it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Listen, please be sure to like, subscribe to the channel. As you already know, over here, we're all about FTP, faith, transparency, and positivity. Also, please be sure to connect with me on Instagram. Please connect with me on Instagram. I want to hear from you. I want to connect with you at Mark's Manifestations. Listen, happy Monday. I want you to go into this week, and I want you to kill it. I will catch y'all in the next video. Peace.